I have with me today to present to you the letter I received from CBC, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, in response to last week's piece they did on GamerGate, in which my image was included. So if you don't know the backstory, CBC, the Canadian Broadcasting channel, did a story about GamerGate in which, during a section in which they said that GamerGate was initially a hashtag for discussion about ethics in video game journalism, has become more or less an excuse to harass women. And my reaction when I saw the timing of that piece, which I'll play for you in a second, and when my face comes up, my reaction was, they may be labeling me on purpose or inadvertently as one of these harassers of women, or they may be labeling me as one of the people who was out there talking about Gamergate as a kind of pro-Gamergater, what's colloquially called a pro-Gamergater, someone who believes that ethics in journalism is the kind of impetus for Gamergate and feels very strongly about that. Now, both would be false, right? Both would be incorrect statements about me. But I said I was kind of willing to give CBC the benefit of the doubt in that I assume they're more just inadvertently calling me a Gamergater rather than a harasser of women. This is the original piece from CBC.
Image that was sent to me was had the words, "This is you."
Giselle Laflèche was attacked by an online group of gamers whose activities are known as Gamergate. Initially a social media hashtag for discussion of ethics in gaming journalism, it has increasingly become a catchphrase for the online harassment of female gamers. Game developers are a particular target.
So the piece was subsequently changed and some of the images were modified, so I don't even know if currently the archived version of that piece still includes me or not. Different people have said different things. They could have changed it multiple times. In any case, I got an email from CBC, which I will read to you now, and I'll give you my reaction to it. Dear Mr. Pakman, my name is Deanna Sumanak Johnson, and I was the reporter on the Gamergate piece that aired on CBC's The National. I understand you felt offended by our piece, but my choice to include a visual of your show was not coincidental. So let's analyze that piece first. By saying it wasn't coincidental, it means they deliberately chose to have me on the screen as opposed to just whoever came up when searching for Gamergate. That's what it means to me, that my appearance there was not coincidental. Let's continue. Your image, along with three others, appeared directly in illustration of the line, quote, initially a social media hashtag for discussion of ethics of gaming journalism, close quote. Now she explains why. I included you because you have been one of the early adopters of people discussing the subject in public forum. The other people appearing in the four-person panel are likewise just discussing the merits of Gamergate, not broadcasting hateful or violent messages. Your image disappears and is no longer used when the line, it has increasingly become a catchphrase for online harassment of female gamers, is said. She goes on to say, I felt it was important to distinguish between the legitimate aims of Gamergate and the more nefarious ones that have come to be associated with the hashtag. The principal aim of our piece was to tell the story of female gamers who love their community and don't want to leave it, despite some of the threats they have received. I understand that the gaming community and all social commentators who have taken part in Gamergate feel passionately about the subject, and that a short news piece, no matter how carefully assembled, could never fully do justice to such a complex subject. It was never our intention to attach a negative context to your person or your work, and we don't think it has. If anything, your face was used to illustrate the legitimate discussion of Gamergate. Thank you in advance for your consideration. Sincerely, Deanna. I think that this is a completely honest explanation of what happened. I truly do. And any implication that I had in my initial segment last week that suggested there was any deliberate throwing me under the bus, I want to make clear that's not at all what I was implying. My only issue with this explanation, and I made this clear to Deanna Sumanak Johnson in a response, which has not been replied to. I don't know for sure that she even received it because it has not been acknowledged, is that while I understand what her intentions were, by including me deliberately as someone who is using the GamerGate hashtag to discuss ethics in video game journalism, she may not even be aware that that paints me on one side of the issue, because it is only one constituency of the entire GamerGate discussion that even believes that's what GamerGate is about. And my concern was being kind of put under that umbrella, even though that's not the role that I've taken within this. The other piece I have an issue with, and I'll go back to it, is she says I was included because I was one of the early adopters of people discussing the subject in public forum. I don't know if that's true. I came into this GamerGate thing, I think now it's been 2 or 3 weeks ago. And to say that I was an early adopter, I don't know if 2 or 3 weeks ago is really early. In other words, I'm under the impression, based on the interviews I've done, that this has been going on for several months. And to say one of the adopters in a public forum, well, what do you mean by early? What type of public forum are you talking about? Twitter is certainly a public forum. Reddit and 8chan and 4chan, those are all public forums to some extent, and those predate my discussion of GamerGate by a long time. So I don't really know about whether that's really accurate or at least precise. That's the response from the journalist Deanna Sumanak Johnson, and I want to make clear that I am now convinced there was no deliberate intent to brand me in any particular way on that segment. Although I think that a lack of a nuanced understanding of the issues around the GamerGate hashtag may have inadvertently branded me on one side of the issue, when my intention all along has been merely to hear from different people involved and to present both sides.